Today, our microphone is gonna be funny today, maybe. Okay, I'll call the special council meeting of Thursday, March 13th to order at 5 p.m. Mr. Ford, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes, I can, your worship.
Great, okay. So we have the agenda in front of us. Are there any additions, deletions?
None, your worship, thank you.
Okay, would someone please move the acceptance of the agenda? Councillor Carr moves that council adopt the agenda of March 13th, 2025, special council meeting as presented. Thank you. And all those in favor?
In favor.
Great, it is carried. New business, we have Ms. Modi with Direct Control District Development Permit Application number 2025-10.
Thank you. All right, so I'm here to present the development permit application for the West Hill development site. The proposal includes one 5-story residential apartment building with 84 dwellings and a single level parkade and 4 commercial buildings with up to 17 commercial units. Property is districted direct control to allow for the mix of commercial and residential on the site, and as it's direct control, council is the decision-making authority. So we do have a draft development permit attached for council to review. The permit approves all 5 buildings and it does specify use as well. So we've got building number 1 is a drive-through restaurant. Building 2 is a drive-through restaurant and retail store. Building number 3 is a retail store or eating establishment. Same with number 4. And then number 5 is the apartment building with 84 dwelling units. The applicant has submitted a large amount of information to support this development application. We do have the overall site plan, which includes both plans that show site access for garbage trucks and fire trucks and how they will be able to circulate adequately through the site. There is a landscape plan and electrical site plan with power and the site lighting plan. We have the building drawings for all 5 buildings. There are civil engineering drawings showing site grading, site servicing with tie-ins to our municipal water and sanitary and the stormwater management plan. And then there are an environmental technical memo, a traffic impact assessment, and a geotechnical investigation to support the development of the site. The TIA does recommend 3 changes to the road network, extending the existing median along 74th Avenue by 40 meters. Closing the right-in, right-out access from Highway 2 onto 100th Ave at 76th Ave, and extending the westbound turn lane at the intersection of Highway 2 and 78th Street by 25 meters. That's the intersection near Canadian Tire and Dairy Queen. There's an evaluation provided that shows how this proposal aligns with the town's planning framework. Overall, it does align with our planning framework, both in the municipal development plan and the land use bylaw, and it is our recommendation to approve the development. So within the MDP, this is introducing residential onto the West Hill, which is provided for in the municipal development plan and was an amendment that was specifically driven by this application. This site is identified as commercial within our future land use site, but does allow for mixed use developments. And overall, the site does align with the criteria specific to allowing mixed use developments in the commercial area of the West Hill, when lands are districted the direct control district. In particular, I'll highlight that primary focus of the area still remains commercial. There's a pedestrian network both across the front of the site and also within the site to allow access, safe access to all of the buildings. The apartment is placed in such a way that maximizes its distance between both the highway and the rail line to the rear to minimize the impact that both of those transportation infrastructures will have on the residents of the apartment. And the apartment also includes a green space within the back rear of the property to provide an amenity to the residences in an area where there is little access to public park spaces. And there's also a landscaping plan that for the site that will soften and improve the aesthetics of the area, both for the residences of that area and also for the residents of that area and the community at large. For the land use bylaw, we do have some areas of the land use bylaw that are relevant to this, specifically within the the apartment buildings section of the land use bylaw. We do require typically in our residential areas that an apartment site provides a landscaped amenity area, and this site does do that. And also that we are satisfied for the provision of garbage, firefighting, light between buildings, privacy of the dwellings, and safe pedestrian access to and from the public sidewalk. And the site does provide garbage storage for each commercial building and the apartment building. The circulation analysis shows that an aerial fire truck will be able to access the site and also access more than one side of the apartment building. And it includes a sidewalk network to provide safe access to the public sidewalk that will front along 100th Avenue. In terms of parking requirements, the site plan currently includes 138 parking spaces for the apartment building. Council has provided a variance to the parking requirement to require 1.25 parking spaces per dwelling unit, which is a total of 105. So the parking as required or as provided right now on the site is in excess of that. In terms of the commercial spaces, there are 85 parking spaces for the commercial developments. The drive-through restaurants have 24 and 40 seats for each, respectively. And the parking requirements for those results in a 6 and 10 space requirement. And that requirement is met based on the site plan. And then for the retail units towards the back, the parking requirement is also met, and 21 parking spaces are the minimum requirement of our parking, and so it's well in excess of that. We also have regulations specific to drive-throughs that are met in terms of the side yard widths that are required and also screening or separation from residential areas. The drive-throughs are at the front of the site and the residential is at the rear. So we have recommended approval of this development, but with a number of specific conditions specific to this development. Those conditions are provided or recommended to ensure that the development is constructed consistent with the plans that have been submitted. That the town is protected as the development ties into our municipal services. That the developer provides site servicing and municipal improvements to an acceptable standard. And to make sure that the development is consistent with the requirements of the land use bylaw, the municipal development plan, our general municipal servicing standards, the offsite levy bylaw, and our encroachment policy. The conditions also allow the developer to finalize site details after the permit is issued. So we do have an updated site plan, which was provided to the town on March 6th and is dated March 5th. That site plan is what we understand to be the footprint of the development going forward. The landscaping and lighting plan, as well as the engineering, civil engineering for the site do need to be updated with some slight tweaks. What they've provided is very close to what we'll end up with. But as they've been finalizing the site, those plans do need to be adjusted slightly to be consistent with the site plan that was provided on March 6th. So we have a whole series of recommended specific conditions that specifically do allow for those updated plans to come forward. And that any changes to those plans do need to be approved by our Director of Infrastructure and Development in writing. We also have a condition that is specific to the stormwater to ensure that the stormwater drainage on the site doesn't exceed pre-development levels. this not only protects ourselves, but it also protects the St. Germain Creek and the adjacent properties and the CN rail line to the rear. We also do have a subdivision related to consolidation or subdivision. So it's our understanding that the developer intends to submit a subdivision application to adjust the property lines and allow for the ownership conditions that they want going forward. But without that, at minimum, we would require that they consolidate both sites so that we don't have any structure that is crossing a property line. So right now, the apartment building crosses two property or the property line in the middle. So we either require that they subdivide to align with the development of the site or consolidate those lots. So it's under one ownership or one property title. We also require the development agreement, a development agreement be entered into with the town and the developer. This is to address the specifics of the municipal improvements, the payment of the offsite levies, and to provide for the provision of security to the town so that all of those things occur as intended, and we have the security to fix any oversights should that happen. There's a condition specific to the offsite levy, so we have offsite levy number 2099 as one of the bylaws of the town, and this condition ties to that bylaw and makes sure that we are collecting the levy as required by that bylaw. Then we also have the developer required to enter into a road use agreement that is simply to protect our road structures as they're undertaking the construction. It has become a standard practice for any development where we expect a decent amount of heavy foot or truck traffic. And then we also have a condition related to encroachment agreements. We expect 2 pylon signs at the front of the property for some of the commercial businesses to be placed within the road right of way on public property. So in order to facilitate that, we do need to enter into an encroachment agreement with the developer.
What are pylon signs?
Pylon signs, freestanding sign,
Oh,
just
okay.
a couple of different words for the same, but
Okay.
a freestanding sign that will have the commercial signs for the fast food restaurants for sure, and possibly some of the other businesses on the site. I think there's a condition related to the on-site parking, specifically requiring that no less than 105 parking spaces are dedicated to the apartment. That ties to the minimum requirement that council agreed to in the previous meeting. And then we have those reports that they completed to support the development. So we have specific conditions related to each to ensure that the developer is adhering to the recommendations of the geotechnical report, the traffic impact assessment, and the environmental memo. And then we have some specific recommendations related to the changes to the road network. So the updates, or sorry, the changes to the road network are split into 2. We have been working with Alberta Transportation, and the developer does require a roadside development permit from Alberta Transportation. But the department is willing and able to support the construction of 2 of those improvements. So the extension of the turn lane and also the extension of the median are projects that Alberta Transportation is willing to take on as a part of one of their construction projects. And then the deconstruction of the right in, right out at 76th Avenue, that is something that the developer will have to take on their own. So we have the conditions that are related to both of those to make sure that the developer is responsible for that right in, right out being removed. And that the developer will enter into an agreement with us to help pay for the costs of the other 2 changes that Alberta Transportation will undertake as part of their work. And then lastly, a condition just noting that this permit doesn't pertain to the signage because there is not enough information provided as a part of this application to approve all of the signage that's required on the site. So they'll have to come back for that specific application. So there are a number of options before council this evening. Option 1 is to approve the development subject to the special conditions outlined above. This approves the development, facilitates construction of new rental housing units in town, as well as new commercial units in town and on the West Hill. It increases the diversity of commercial spaces in the town and adds new units where there's very little vacant commercial space. It will increase some of the existing pressures for services and amenities to residents in the neighborhood. That's in an area that's not currently designed for residential needs. The development will increase our property assessment base and increase property taxes. And it will also add pressure for new services and amenities that may have both operational and capital budget impacts. Option 2 would be to approve the development subject to any special conditions as directed by council. The advantages and disadvantages are very similar. And the last option would be to decline the development permit, which would lessen but not eliminate those existing pressures for services and amenities in the area. The disadvantages are the land is likely to remain undeveloped. It won't facilitate that new development. It will create frustration in the development community, and there will not be any new property tax assessment based on new development. It is our recommendation to approve the permit, subject to the special conditions outlined in the draft permit attached. I can take any questions.
Councillor Stanley?
So this, I'm just going through all the many documents here. This first drawing that has the parking lot added in the back, is that their latest and greatest?
Yes, that is the site plan.
Because you mentioned the parking lot numbers have jumped quite a bit since last we spoke, and that's what accounts for that.
That's right. So the developer has decided that they would like to proceed with the development with that parking at the rear of the property or the rear of the apartment building as well.
Okay, great. That's it.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Ford, any?
No, nothing here.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else? Everybody's clear on why we're here. Okay, well, Ms. Moni, so I note I think the latest date I saw for anything here was it July something? That was the latest that something had to be in for the whole project, so. Okay, well, if there's no further questions, then would someone be prepared to move forward with a motion on this matter?
Okay, so I'll move that council approve the development permit application number 2025-10, subject to the special conditions outlined in the draft development permit approval notice attached here to forming part of these minutes.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for clarity? Okay, everybody's clear on the motion and its meaning? All those in favor of the motion?
In favor.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Modi. Thank you and the staff for all the work that went into that as well. Okay, so now moving along, we're now moving into closed session if somebody so causes us to move there. Councillor Carr moves the council move into closed session at 5:18. Yeah, in accordance with section 1625 of the Oath Act. All those in favor?
In favor.
Great, it is carried. So we're now in closed.